Hey guys and gals, this is Josh from PsychosisExotics again today, and today I'll be doing a video on a question I see a lot. What makes a great starter lizard? And there are a lot of different things that make good starter lizards. There are also some that don't though. For instance, not good starters would be the iguana, any type of monitor, or the Chinese water dragon. I say this because those generally require a lot bigger cages than most, and generally do not start out with the greatest attitudes. They normally can be tamed down, but most of the time you really do not want a lizard that has to be tamed down as a good beginner. It just doesn't work out as well because it's live and learn, and sometimes you get scared if it's your first lizard and it's being fairly aggressive. You don't know what's going on. What does make a good starter though, or at least one thing, are these leopard geckos. They're small and they have amazing temperaments. I have only been bit by a leopard gecko twice, and that was a baby leopard gecko, so I had probably scared her, and she was just being defensive, which is understandable. I mean, if you look at our size compared to these, I'd probably be a little bit scared too. One con of them is they are extremely lazy. They are nocturnal, so if you're wanting an animal you can sit and watch, these aren't them. They sleep during the day while you're up. They are easy to care for. They normally eat crickets, mealworms, and superworms as a staple. They don't need any greens, so that's one advantage. They take up very little space. I have her and another leopard gecko living in a 20-gallon long tank. And for most people, especially beginners, do not put multiple leopard geckos together. You have to be able to separate them if something goes wrong, and you need to know to watch for dominance and for one of them not getting to eat. Otherwise, one of them could end up getting severely hurt by the other, or just not getting to eat and end up starving to death. It's a sad reality, but it does happen if people are not careful. There are a lot of different color morphs for leopard geckos, depending on what you want. They are very highly bred. There are a lot of breeders for them. You can get almost any color morph you want if you're willing to pay the price. A lot of them are extremely cheap, but some of them get into the several hundred to several $1,000s. I do not recommend those unless you are breeding them. The several $1,000 ones are extremely nice, but just that, extremely expensive. And that is not good for a beginner because it's live and learn, and sometimes you will make mistakes. However, if you can, I do highly recommend getting a leopard gecko from a breeder rather than a pet store like PetSmart or Petco, because the breeders generally will take a lot better care of the animal, so you will be getting a lot higher quality animal than you will from a pet store. Pet stores generally keep a lot of them together and do not watch for things like I said. So you can get ones with missing toes, missing tails, or ones that have been starved to death. And that is not something you want. And another good starter lizard that I like a lot is the bearded dragons. This is my female bearded dragon. She is a subadult red female. And they get around 16 to 22 inches, which is decently sized, but they have amazing temperaments. I have never been bit by one of my leopard geckos. I have been swiped in the face by their tail a few times, but that is just simply because if you do not hold them right and don't have all their feet on something, they get scared and will start dashing about trying to get a hold of something. They will hold on to you just like she is me. They don't care as long as they have somewhere to put their feet. They are fine. They are extremely active during the day. They are diurnal, so they do all their stuff during the day and sleep at night while you're sleeping. So if you're wanting something that you can watch, these are great alternatives to leopard geckos. They get quite a bit bigger, but they are a lot more active and a lot more amazing animals in my personal opinion. I like them both, but if I could choose, I would probably choose the bearded dragon. They need a bigger tank than the leopard geckos. The minimum you should have for an adult bearded dragon is a 40-gallon breeder tank. And if you can, I recommend a 55-gallon at least. But a 40-gallon breeder will work. They also need UVB light, which the which leopard geckos do not. The UVB light is fairly expensive and needs changed about every 6 months. They are able to be gotten at pet stores, but if you can order the UVB lights offline, you will save about $25, and that gets to be a big change. They eat greens along with their insects. Normally I feed mine collard greens, mustard greens, and turnip greens. That's just what mine seem to like the most. They eat twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, and they eat insects during both meals, and I generally will give them enough greens in the morning to last them throughout the day so that I don't have to feed them greens again at night. They eat quite a bit compared to the leopard geckos. Sometimes they'll get down to eating once a day bugs and just mostly greens as they get older, but they still eat quite a bit more. You can find also a lot of breeders for these in different colors. I have a male normal that's more grayish, whitish. Compared to her, she is red. And I got her from a breeder. My male did come from a pet store, and he is doing great. But I have gone to that pet store again and seen some from the same clutch as him, and the pet store has not taken good care of them. They are in horrible condition. So I really would try and get these from a breeder if you can. There are, like I said, a lot of breeders if you'll look online, or if you need to, just message me or comment and I can probably see if I can find a breeder in your area. Or at least send you to a few websites where you can order them online and have them shipped to you. Pet stores just honestly do not take good enough care of their animals. It's sad, but it's how they are. Like I said, these guys have great attitudes. As you can see, people think 22 inches, but it's not as big as it sounds for a lizard because, they're also extremely fat, so it kind of evens out their... Well, they're not extremely fat, but they're not as skinny as the leopard geckos. Their tails also are not as fragile as the leopard geckos, but they also, they hit you with them. So, for a lizard, they have a pretty strong feeding response, really. They love to chase down their food, which I think is awesome to watch, because watching them chase a cricket across their cage is extremely funny. Now, if I had to choose leopard gecko versus bearded dragon for a beginner, I would say it depends on the beginner, because I like both animals and they're both amazing. The bearded dragon costs a little bit more overall, but you also get the extreme friendliness of them and the activeness of getting to watch them during the day. Compared to the leopard gecko, which is cheaper, does not require as big of a tank, and does not eat as much, but they also aren't as active during the day, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, for some people, isn't that big of a deal. The leopard geckos are amazing creatures. I personally like bearded dragons more, but that's because I like being able to see mine move. I think that they both make great starter lizards, honestly. And it's up to you. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or comment. I'm going to be uploading another video soon of snakes, beginner snakes for people, and see maybe if that's what you want. You never know sometimes. Alright, I hope you liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Message me if you need anything or have any questions. Comment if you have any questions. Have a good day.